Eccoci qui. Un ladro, 2 criminali, un'assassina e un maniaco.
Maybe the greatest challenge of the Guardians of the Galaxy is to make such an heterogeneous groups of heroes believable, since it is composed by a raccoon and a humanoid tree, among the others. Have you ever been afraid that the group didn't succeed, didn't work?
Definitely one of the biggest challenges on Guardians of the Galaxy was to bring these completely alien creatures to life and have them be believable. And it was something that we understood was key to making the film and were pretty nervous about, honestly. The film was a big project for Marvel in that it was their first project where they were moving away from their tested characters of Iron Man and the Avengers, and these were new creatures and new characters. The director himself said to us, if this doesn't work, the film won't work. So there was a lot of pressure, I think, going into it. But my company, Framestore, has done character work for many, many years, and so this is something that we have a lot of experience in, and we were able to bring kind of all of our best people on board to really get the best out of Rocket and Groot and bring them to life.
Oh, see.
Can you tell us about the job you made on Rocker Racoon character and the choices you made to characterize it?
So my company was hired to design and build Rocket Racoon for Guardians of the Galaxy and to animate him and bring him to life. And that was a very long process that we went through with Marvel to make decisions about what Rocket was going to look like, how he was going to behave. These were all questions that we spent months and months working on with the studio and the director to find answers to. Rocket is an animal, so how much of an animal does he look like? Does he move like an animal, or does he walk upright? When he's speaking, how do you make a long animal snout move like lips and believe that he's speaking? And all of these things were questions that we had to answer. And Marvel has a lot of experience doing characters. So they were really great to work with because they understood the process and they understood what we were trying to do. So they were very collaborative and they worked with us. And so while it was very difficult because we had to work to a very high standard, I think we're all very proud of the result and the character that we made.
How important is the voice of Bradley Cooper as dubber of this character?
Finding the voice for Rocket was the key in creating the character. And in the early days when we were designing Rocket, before the film had been cast, before we knew who was going to be Rocket, that left an opening in a way. There was a lot of questions that we had about, well, what would he sound like? And what would his mouth move like? And what's his attitude like? And a character, any character, comes down to a performance. And you're bringing a performance to life. And when Bradley was cast as Rocket, and we did our first session with him where we were recording him and looking at him move and speak, that really unlocked the character of Rocket. And it was that moment we knew who he was. And we were able to take what Bradley was doing and put it into Rocket and really bring him to life.
You worked on another Marvel superhero, Iron Man. Which are the differences between Marvel superheroes and the Guardians of the Galaxy?
The first Marvel project I ever worked on was Iron Man, which was also Marvel's first project. And it was a really great experience for me to come back to Marvel and do another project with them. Iron Man was slightly different because they had never made a movie before. So when we were making Iron Man, there were a lot of things we were still trying to figure out about how do you make a superhero movie and how do you make that exciting and something that everybody wants to go see. Whereas now, everybody wants to see superhero movies. That's all they make. And so there were differences there in that now Marvel is very established and they know how they make films. And so you're able to focus much more on the creativity and just solving problems and coming up with new ideas. Whereas with Iron Man, we were inventing something new in a way. We were just starting to figure out how you make something in a comic book that appeals to all the audiences and that everybody wants to go see. So that was kind of the difference for me in doing those two projects.
Se mi guardo intorno, sai chi vedo? Sfigati. Ma la vita ci offre un'occasione.
Do you think that they could have the same success as the other Marvel superheroes or as the Avengers?
I think Guardians is an exciting new opportunity for Marvel, and they took a big risk because they'd spent the last 10 years building up this fleet of characters, 8 years, building up new characters and establishing them. And so to go out and start a new franchise with characters that most people didn't know was a big risk for them. And what I think it's shown is that Marvel understands something fundamental about making fun and exciting movies that people want to see. I also think a reason why Guardians was as successful as it was is down to the director. I think James Gunn as a director was incredibly talented, and having co-written the film, he brought a lot of his own spirit to this. And so I think that what it shows is there's a lot of opportunities to Marvel to continue to branch out, and the key for them is going to be continuing to involve the best talent and the best people they can to really bring each one of these new worlds to life.
You've been working in this field for many years now, and visual effects have greatly evolved. So are there some things your team is still not able to do, and what are the next challenges to overcome?
It probably seems like nowadays visual effects can do almost anything. And certainly on certain projects we work on, it seems like they're asking for us to do everything. But I would say that even though nowadays the technology is such that we can do an incredible volume of work and bring characters to life, I think the thing that we still can't do are people. I think that the thing that I haven't seen yet is somebody making a digital human that performs, that I believe. And for me, I think that's the next great barrier to overcome. And when somebody does it, it'll be amazing, but I think it's going to be really hard.
Si fanno chiamare i Guardiani della Galassia. Forse non è l'idea migliore.